During this era, the country began to focus more intensely on acquiring and developing new territories. Spain had claim on Florida since the 1500s, but by the late 18 teens, facing revolutions in almost all its colonies, Spanish control of Florida was pretty much in name only. According to a treaty from 1795, Spain was supposed to keep Indians in Florida from raiding the United States, but it didn't have the manpower to do so. And since there was little authority in Florida, runaway slaves would go there, live with Seminoles or other natives, or even establish their own outposts. They even took over an abandoned British fort named Negro Fort on the Apalachicola River in West Florida. Altercations with Seminoles led a group of white settlers from Georgia to burn a Seminole village across the border, which killed 5 Indians and dispersed the rest. That violence continued, and that led Secretary of War John C. Calhoun to summon General Andrew Jackson to lead an army into Florida in 1818. Jackson's orders were to pursue the Seminoles, possibly into Florida if he had to, but not to attack any Spanish forts or outposts. Monroe wanted to avoid starting a war with Spain. The U.S. couldn't afford another war so soon after the War of 1812. Jackson, however, was not someone to be bothered with legal technicalities, despite being a lawyer from Tennessee. So when he had a goal in mind, he set out to accomplish it. So he ordered his force of 2,000 soldiers, volunteers, and militiamen into Spanish Florida, destroyed several Seminole villages, and assaulted a Spanish fort called St. Mark's. He then engaged on a swath of destruction through northern Florida, even capturing, court-martialing, and executing 2 British traders accused of supporting Indian attacks. After a couple months, he captured Pensacola, the Spanish capital of Florida, and established a provisional American government there. President James Monroe and Secretary of War John C. Calhoun were understandably upset about Jackson breaking his orders. They essentially found out what had happened when Jackson wrote to them, updating them on the Seminole campaign. And in the process of this letter, he essentially said, "We've pushed the Seminoles back, and by the way, we also took Florida from Spain. You're welcome." Secretary of State John Quincy Adams was happy, though. Because of Jackson's actions, he had greater leverage against Spain for land treaties. So he and Foreign Minister Albert Gallatin were able to work out what was called the Transcontinental Treaty, or the Adams-Onis Treaty in 1819, which got Spain to cede all of Florida to the U.S. for a pretty small amount of money. And it also clarified the border between New Spain, Spain's North American territory, and the Louisiana Purchase, all the way to the Pacific Ocean. What that did was remove Spain as a claimant for Pacific Northwest territory that left behind the U.S., Britain, and Russia, all as powers that claimed the Northwest Territories, what was called then the Oregon Country.